What does energize you the most in your business?
I do like building things, right? I would say
Okay.
that's the top thing that gets me going is just building new systems, new structures. So yeah, I do like the design and build aspects of things. Sometimes some of our bigger jobs are we have a customer that just tells us a problem, and it's given to us to solve that problem from A to Z. Design, conception, design, and build. So those would
Mm-hmm.
probably be my favorite type of projects where we can look at it from A to Z
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
versus just giving a set of drawings, hey, build this.
Hello, this is David with the Systems Edge podcast, and welcome to the show. This is a podcast where we talk about operations, but we try to get into what really works and what really doesn't work. And we try to ask tough questions sometimes. But in the end, we just want to have a casual conversation to enlighten everyone who listens to the show and find those nuggets about things that could work for us in the marketplace as we all work on our businesses. And today, my guest is Daniel Heimall from Braco. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for being here. So why don't we start off telling our guests a little bit about you, your background, your business, and maybe if you want to jump right into what a typical day looks like for you.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, my name's Dan. I own a industrial construction company. We do mostly heavy structural steel, pipeline type work, process piping, welded pipe. We're big in terminals, refineries, chemical plants, wastewater plants, environments like that. And my background, I started in oil and gas out of college, and I was in oil and gas for about 10 years. And after that, I've decided to go on the other side of the fence on the contracting side. And now here I am.
Here you are. Now
So,
you're running a company.
yes,
So
sir.
what's a typical day look like for you?
I spend a lot of time going to different job sites throughout the state. We typically work in New Jersey, so I'll look at a lot of jobs. I'll look at progress on existing jobs and look at new potential opportunities. So I spend a decent amount of time doing that, just a lot of time on the road. And I'm in the office probably 2 to 3 days a week. So I spend a lot of time working out of my vehicle, and sometimes at home in the afternoons. I'll do a lot of run around in the mornings, and then I try to get caught up in the afternoons. So I'm on the go a lot.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Family and everything too keeps you busy?
Yeah, for sure. So I have 3 kids,
Nice.
3, 6, and 8. Boy, girl,
Okay.
boy. And they are certainly a handful. And yeah, I'm in the brunt of it with having 3 little ones. So
My
yeah,
next question is what energizes you the most? And I'm going to imagine that if you were to just take that from a macro perspective, the kids would be a part of that. But speaking to
for sure.
business and stuff like that, to what you do in your work, what does energize you the most in your business?
I do like building things, right? I would say
Okay.
that's the top thing that gets me going is just building new systems, new structures. So yeah, I do like the design and build aspects of things. Sometimes some of our bigger jobs are we have a customer that just tells us a problem, and it's given to us to solve that problem from A to Z. Design, conception, design, and build. So those would
Mm-hmm.
probably be my favorite type of projects where we can look at it from A to Z
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
versus just giving a set of drawings, hey, build this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Expand on that a little bit. Walk us through what the life cycle of your core products and services are from the moment someone reaches out to the moment of delivery, so to speak. What's that look like?
So our specialty again is pipe and steel. So when a customer comes to us and they say, we need to get a new line from point A to point B,
Okay.
figure it out. So those are typically the jobs we like the best because since we're the ones actually building it, we typically have a pretty good idea on the best way to do the routing and the best way to go about completing that job. So those are jobs that we favor.
Okay.
And it really is, it's just figuring it out. It's a design and then get it all drawn up and go ahead and put it all together. So those are the
Yeah.
jobs that we favor.
Are those processes that you described or that the process you just described there, is it, heavily dependent on one person or tribal knowledge?
Yes, I would say it depends a lot on the experience that we have in a particular industry. So our core industry is midstream energy terminals, oil and gas terminals, chemical terminals, and really just liquid handling. And that's our core. So you really need to have the experience in that type of industry to know the best and most efficient way of doing it. And again, since we're the ones that are actually building these systems, a lot of times we just have a lot of firsthand knowledge and we've seen what can go wrong. We've seen all the problems. So we have a lot of experience with trying to be in front of that versus the designers. Like if they're just doing design with less construction experience, a lot of times you'll get drawings that end up just having problems that may have been able to get worked out earlier on with
Yep,
different
yep.
experience at play.
What software show up in that journey that you described earlier?
AutoCAD, Bluebeam. Bluebeam is heavy for the PDF side, post drawings, but I would still say AutoCAD, Autodesk suites, like they still have the stronghold on that market, I would say.
So your industry standard industry software that's very specific to what you guys do, obviously.
I would say design industry in general, all around, is probably still AutoCAD or
Sure.
Autodesk.
Anything else that shows up in just in operations in general?
From a software perspective,
Yeah, some business systems, software business systems, things like.
yeah, so we use a system called Airtable. It is essentially a high-powered Excel. So we use that to operate our whole company, really. It does all of our job costing, tracking, man hours. So it does everything for us. And then back end is all QuickBooks. But yeah, all of our detailed job costing and project management is all done through a system called Airtable that's been fully customized by us to do exactly what we want it to do.
Okay, interesting. So you have an internal IT person then, or did you just hire that out?
I'm pretty well versed on the tech side of things myself, so I kind of started it, but
Okay,
I do have another guy that
nice.
works for us that is very skilled on the tech side
Yeah,
of things.
yeah. I've heard some great things about Airtable, and you got sounds like you've got some integration already built into it too. Good for you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, it talks to a bunch of other software.
Sure, sure. Is there numbers that you wish you could see still that you're not seeing? Part of any of your processes? It's pretty typical. The people I talk to, like, they wish they could see this or be nice if they didn't have to manually do this or that sort of thing. Anything operationally that's you still got to work on yet internally along those lines?
Nothing comes to mind right now, but I
Uh-huh.
would say we are constantly improving and updating those
Okay.
processes. And the one thing I really like with Airtable, if there's something that we don't like, I can easily change it and
Mm.
modify it.
Mhm.
So, for example, recently we've implemented AI in a lot of our Airtable databases
Okay.
where it'll, for instance, a invoice will get sent to our accounts payable email address. That automatically goes into Airtable. Then AI automatically reads that invoice and puts the information from that invoice into the database where it belongs. So that all happens automatically. So
That's
by the time I go into
fantastic.
Airtable to look at it, the invoice you have an attachment invoice in the database that you can click to
Yeah.
open if you want it to. And the
Yeah.
information from that invoice is being pulled and populated into the columns that they belong into.
That's really, really cool. And you did that on
Yeah.
your own, you said? Just
Yeah.
internally? Fantastic. Good for you. Unpack that a little bit further for me because I feel like there's people that could learn from that one right there, what you just did. And maybe it's not just Airtable, but I think it would probably, what you're describing seems like in general would work with a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, AI people have a lot of mixed feelings on it, but
Right.
some of the stuff that I can see it doing is just amazing.
Yeah.
So, and it's not that hard to do.
Yeah.
It's, there's a lot of different options out there, not just Airtable. Airtable is just a database. That's all it really is. It's got a lot of power behind it, but
Mm-hmm.
there's, of course, your ChatGPT, which is the base for pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like Zapier is another company out there that we
Yep.
use.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Most software nowadays is starting to integrate some kind of AI into their platforms. So we use like AI is they built into Airtable now, and we're using that functionality.
Okay.
And
So
yeah,
you're just doing it
so
inside of Airtable. You're not having to bring ChatGPT into the mix and
correct.
upload
Yeah, it's just
folders or anything. It's all built in what you're able to do.
it's all built into Airtable. That process that I explained, Zapier, is being used to send the invoices from email
Mhm.
to Airtable.
Sure,
So it
sure.
is a combination of Zapier and Airtable,
Okay. Yep.
but
That makes sense.
between those two, so Zapier, quickly, it's a link
Yep.
between many, many different kinds of software.
Yep. 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 We being in the software industry ourselves, that's what we hear that a lot, and it's really a nice tool for simple
Yeah,
integration and things like that.
yeah.
It's really neat that you're tapping into that. I'd
And
love to dive a little deeper in that. Maybe we'll circle back around on that.
yeah, and
But I
just in
think
general,
about
like
how to.
I tell my guys, like, if there's any task that you're doing, think about it, could this be done by AI?
Mm,
And that's kind of the route we've been going on things. And that's just the example I gave you is just one of a few,
you
but
got another
that's the way
example
we're
you could
thinking.
throw out there? I'm just curious.
It's a little bit more on the technical side, but every piece of pipe and fitting that comes in has to have a what we call an MTR, a material test report. So, and they could be hundreds of pages long if you have a big order.
Okay.
So what we do is we have AI now read all those MTRs
Okay.
and extract all the data that we need from those MTRs. So it'll extract the heat numbers, the type of fitting, and it'll put that into a table that we can use to generate what we call our weld maps.
Okay.
So any kind of data review or analysis, we pretty much use Airtable to go through it all. I'm
Okay.
sorry,
Yeah.
AI. We use AI to go through it all.
AI, yeah. So yeah, you're leaning into it really heavy, a lot more than most people. So kudos to you guys for that. And you found some real practical applications too. You're not just playing around with it. You're actually using it in your day to day.
The example that I just gave you with these MTRs, it
Uh-huh.
would take a person days
Yeah.
sometimes to do this. I'm
Yeah.
doing it now in seconds.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. The
It
labor
is.
savings alone, I know. And
Yeah, it is.
yeah, just trying to integrate AI anywhere you kind of like the efficiency scale is unbelievable. It really is. So if there was one bottleneck that you solved would unlock significant growth for you, what would that be right now?
Not
I like how you're taking your time. I really do. I think that's really
yeah, I
good. You're
mean
searching your heart. That's good.
it's a hard question, but two things come to mind. The first one is sales, which isn't necessarily a bottleneck, but right now we don't have any. We have no sales. It's all repeat customers, it's the same clients, but I know that there's an opportunity for what we do to be offered on a larger scale, and just figuring out how we get more of our services in front of customers. Like, we're even talking about the idea of starting to build skids so we can fabricate full systems in our shop
Okay.
and ship them across the country, right? So it is a bottleneck, just figuring out how to expand that from a sales perspective. So that's something I've kind of been focusing on a little bit more recently, but that would be one for sure.
You use a
Another
CRM
one,
of any I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're on flow here.
no, so we do not have a CRM. We have a custom one built out in Airtable that we really, what happens is we just don't have the additional resourcing to manage sales and build that customer base. The work staff we have is all tied up. They're all in jobs, so it becomes all right. Do we hire? Do we not? Do we? So that's kind of where we're at right now. When we get busy, everybody's slammed, so nobody's not sales, nobody's knocking on doors, nobody's doing any of that, and it's just like this constant cycle. Like in the wintertime, we're all looking for work, and then all of a sudden we get busy. And all that falls to the wayside
Yeah.
and nothing happens. And then next
Yep.
winter, we repeat that whole process over again. So that's definitely a challenge right now that I'm trying to spend some effort on fixing.
Yeah. I want to circle back to Airtable. You've mentioned it many times, and it sounds like because it's such a core part of your business. It's so heavily integrated and runs pretty much everything. Wondering if you know more about it than I do. Do you think there's opportunity there for other businesses, even if they don't have the tech? Well, let's put it this way. Let's say they didn't have the technical expertise. Would you still recommend it for them, and how might they go about integrating it? Any thoughts on that for our listeners who might be listening saying, "Yeah, let me learn more about
I
this
think,
Airtable thing."
yeah, I think it could definitely be used and be more popular if people knew about it.
Mhm.
And there are so many softwares out there, even for any industry, but let's talk specifically construction. It is overwhelming the amount of software out there for construction and project management. I mean, it's there's probably thousands,
Yeah.
and it's overwhelming. So even at one point when I was trying to figure out what we wanted to do, I started looking at all these different softwares, and it just blows your mind. And you'll find one that I don't like this feature about this. I don't like this. I don't like this about this one. So you can never find one that does what you want it to do. And so that's where I feel like Airtable, you can kind of build it to do whatever you want. And it is very intuitive. So if you know how to use Excel, especially
Uh-huh.
like if you're a high powered Excel user, then you'll figure this out.
Okay.
It's really not that hard.
Okay.
So it is like the backbone of it. If you're good at Excel, you'll figure out Airtable.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. We had a meeting yesterday. We are talking about how you need to be a high powered, you need to have someone internally to be a high powered Excel person internally to make this thing happen. And it's a ERP roundtable. We talk about, other ERP systems, and one of the consultants in the room just said, that's actually pretty rare. And so you're kind of a rare breed to be able to have that expertise. Kudos to you. But it does sound like if someone wanted to jump in your opinion, and use Airtable, that would be one of the key components they'd need to understand Excel really well, or have someone come in to help them
And
with that.
even when I say really well, like just the idea of the formulas, like if you know how to use like Excel formulas
Okay.
or like pulse information from one cell to another, like equals, and then click the cell, that's it. So maybe advanced user isn't the right term. Maybe just, intermediate,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
Excel user.
It's that intuitive. That's amazing. It's amazing. And then you've connected other softwares to it. You mentioned Zapier into your QuickBooks. You're probably bridging those two with Zapier. So interesting. Being in the software world, I tend to go down that path really easily, right? That's someone I'm really curious about because we do a lot of integrations ourselves. We're building these systems. Sometimes they're custom, but sometimes we're the ones who are jumping in and actually doing what you did, but you're just ahead of the game from everybody else. Or have there's a lot of owners who are so busy in their day to day, as the saying is, they're working in their business, not on their business. And sounds like you really get a chance you've been working on your business to put these systems and these automations in place and that sort of things. I guess that leads into my next question here. Are there areas that still in your business, and it sounds like you're always refining this, and so I would imagine there is some areas where humans are compensating for some kind of a system that could be put in place or a process. And I like the pause. I really do. I mean, you're just
Yeah.
thinking hard.
Say that again, Dave.
So, are there areas in your business that humans are still compensating for a process that's not been put into place or a system that's not perfected yet? So back up right before Airtable. So imagine another area of your business that could use some sort of a system integration or upgrade or refinement in your processes. Is there anything that comes to mind yet? Or you pretty much you might have, it sounds like you got a lot of it nailed down. Anything else that comes to mind where you're like, yeah,
Nothing
we could.
comes to mind right now, but to be honest, like anytime something does come to mind, I usually just act on it pretty quick.
Okay. Yep.
But I do think like in the field, there's the tech in the field is very light. A lot of my guys don't even know how to turn a computer on.
Mm.
Out in the field, there's very little tech being used. Which is there an opportunity there for more? Maybe, maybe not. Or it's something that I'm always kind of thinking about. I don't really know.
Yeah.
Nothing jumps out at me. Just
Yeah.
recently, training have started to take all training computer based, which is going to be a change for the guys. I'm going to have to get them to
Mhm.
do it on their phones, but even at that, it's another system that we have to pay for called it's called IS Networld. It's one of these safety systems that a lot of our clients require us to be a part of. So it's something we're paying for anyway, but
Mhm.
I have the ability to upload custom trainings onto there.
Okay. Yep.
And, so that's something recently we're going to start making the guys do the trainings all online.
Mhm.
And it's something that has to be done. There's really not much of an option in it. So,
They're pretty receptive to learning these things?
no, but no, they don't want to.
They don't want to.
Well, you know what? A lot of times, like, say, take a guy that's been doing it for 30 plus years. You're not going to tell him anything he hasn't already heard or already knows.
Yep.
So it's really
Yep.
a refresher. And I think there's
Yep.
value in it. It kind of refreshes them on things. But again, just think about that, right? Take a guy that's been welding for 30 years and you're going to ask him to sit at a computer and watch a video for a day. It's
Yeah.
no, they're not receptive to that.
Yeah. 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 They want to know why and how's it, all the 14 questions that are going to happen for sure. And yeah, in 30 years, he's pretty much could do those videos himself, probably.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
He could
For
write a
sure.
whole system. So, well,
Yeah, and you know what that brings to mind, like you talked about the other bottlenecks, right? That's
yeah.
another big one is the regulation
Mm,
that has been becoming more and more difficult on the technical side, the quality side, the safety side.
mm-hmm,
It's like this never ending just regulation
mm,
on getting tighter and tighter, harder to work within the confinement you're given.
mm-hmm.
And talk about a bottleneck, it is literally getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Which the good thing is it makes barrier to entry a lot more difficult for
True.
competitors.
True.
So that's the only good thing I could take out of it.
How do you adapt to that in with your business systems? Is that just a matter of a bunch of check boxes? Is it, you know, can I'm thinking of about 3 or 4 different ways that could potentially be solved, but how do you guys unpack that for us a little bit?
So we try to implement where we can, like I mentioned, the MTRs and material tracking.
Mm-hmm.
We use things like that to help comply with whatever regulation or rules are thrown at us.
Mm-hmm.
Equipment inspections, same thing. We're trying to digitalize that, so it's just make it as easy as possible for the guys to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, just trying to put things in place that make sure it doesn't get missed. Things that we're supposed to do, inspections we're supposed to do, or quality issues that we're supposed to do. Just
Mm-hmm.
trying to put things in check that make sure we don't miss things. But that's not easy because it's constant changing. And like I said, it doesn't get easier. It just
Yeah.
continually gets harder. And
Is there a central database that you pull all these new things that you have to follow from? Is it a government database you're able to you have to constantly be up
unfortunately,
on?
a lot of times it's customer specific. In general, it's that they're asking for the same information,
Right.
but you could have one customer that wants it in this format, one customer that wants it in this format, and what different, this customer requires us to do X, this customer doesn't. So you kind of go with like the most stringent customer. And
Mm,
if you go by their rules, kind of cover everything else, but it gets very cumbersome to try and stay compliant with everything.
mhm.
It's just like I said, it's like it's ever changing things.
Yeah, that's a tough one to systematize, isn't it? I mean, I can picture maybe the guys have using their phones or taking pictures, or there's all these little tactical ways to address some of it. But like if what you're describing, I'm sure you give it a lot of thought because you're trying to constantly analyze how to
Yeah.
smooth that process out. So these guys, your guys in the field, how do they address these issues? Is it a lot of phone calls and a lot of questions and a lot of compromise back and forth? Like it sounds very like you said, a lot of waste going on there, time and resources.
It's slow change over time. You lay something out to the guys like, guys, we have to do this. This isn't a choice. Like we have to do this. And of course,
Okay.
like nobody's ever happy about it.
Right.
But they understand that this is the way it is. Something in our world called weld maps, maybe like 15 years ago, it didn't even exist, wasn't even a thing.
Okay. Okay.
Now every job's required of it. And it could be a job that is unregulated by all means. It's just say a water pipe from point A to point B, no big deal. Well, it's like now that needs a weld map. And it's like, and then you ask the question, well, why? No one could ever give me a good enough reason for why I need this weld map with all these quality standards for a piece of pipe carrying water. It
Yeah.
just doesn't make sense. But
Yeah.
somebody came up with the idea, like, nope, this is what we're doing. It's like, okay, yeah,
Interesting. Reminds me of the lady who for her whole life would have cooked her ham for Christmas in 2 pans, chop it in half. Didn't matter how big the ham was. She had 2 pans. And then, her husband was like, why are you doing this? She says, this is how you do it. And then one Christmas, his mother-in-law came over. He says, why does my wife always do this? He just got her in the
that's right.
kitchen. She says, this, she, and she just says, I don't know. It's just something I always did. He goes, I guess there's no really reason, but he had trained the other person, her daughter, to do it this way. So yeah, sometimes it's a trickle effect of like, this is just the way we do it. So that can happen. So you mentioned AI in looking at your um, looking at Airtable and things like that. Are you guys using AI in any other area of your business?
Just,
ChatGPT? Driving down the
yeah,
road, yeah.
for every day and conversational and research. I'll give you an example. The other day, I was out in the field with the guys, and I needed to know what the regulation was on a certain weld spacing for something.
Okay.
And you just, I pulled out my phone. I just said, talk to her. I said, hey, what's the right weld spacing between welds on a, you got to cue it right on an
Mhm.
API 653 tank. What's the right weld spacing for a repad attachment? Just cue it and boom, shoots the information out. And then you could ask it like, all right, where's your resource from? And I'll say, this is directly from API
Okay.
653. So
Okay.
yeah, we use it for things like that, just to verify things quickly out in the field. You could talk right into it, ask it something, and I always say check the source, make sure
Yeah.
but it'll tell you the source, and if the source is a reliable source, it's like okay.
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah,
usually it's just to refresh your memory. Like I have a pretty good, like I think it's 3 inches. You ask it, and then it says 3 inches. Like okay,
yeah,
so
yeah. Yeah, and that kinda gets into the whole how do you trust the data, right? Like, for example, even an Airtable, going back to, like, if it's processing all this stuff, how do you know what it's spitting out of the end is accurate? I mean,
we
after a while, you
it's checked.
realize, okay, it must be, right?
Yeah,
But initially, if you're leaning on those numbers heavily.
we have a process that every single invoice is double checked.
Okay.
So we
Gotcha.
don't just
For now,
rely
as long
on.
until you have proven, right, that it's gonna be consistent over time,
It would take a lot for me to just be like, okay, it's good. You don't have to check
yeah.
it. So yeah, right now there's a very quick check that somebody can just look at and be like, okay, is this accurate?
Sure,
So
sure, sure.
yeah,
I kinda asked a variation of this question already, but, and you sound like your business is really running it's definitely running way more smooth than what I normally hear. So, I'm gonna ask again, but maybe from a different perspective. So, what would you automate tomorrow if you knew it wouldn't cause chaos?
from a process standpoint, what would I automate?
Yeah, I guess operations, but process, business systems, yeah, is there anything you'd automate if it wouldn't cause chaos? So we talked about guys not wanting to adopt, which is common, right? People don't, especially old timers, don't want to adopt new ideas. So if that wasn't, that was just an example. Like if that wasn't going to
Uh,
be a hiccup or anything else and that would get in your way, was there something you'd be like, yeah, I would do this?
Nothing comes to mind. I mean, I feel like we've automated where we can on the back office
Hmm.
side. Out in the field, could something be more automated? I don't know. I don't think
Hmm.
so.
Uh huh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nothing
you're
really comes to
definitely,
mind.
and it's just, I'm trying to encourage you here. You're definitely the exception of the rule because, most people, first of all, don't, maybe all this stuff keeps you awake at 2 a.m. and you get in the office, you jump right on it, fix it. It sounds like you're that way. But most people don't have your combination of skills that I've seen. So good, just, pat on the back to you for that. And it
Thanks.
sounds like you're doing some
I mean,
amazing
I think
things.
like my passion is like I like building stuff, and especially like
Right.
when I see issues, like that's really what gets I get very passionate about building out that kind of stuff on the tech side
Yeah.
related to what we do. So
Yeah.
that's what I really enjoy doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when
And
an
being
issue comes up like that, I love doing that.
Yeah. And being president, it gives you that, authority to be able to do it. Because I know at different levels of we might have someone listening right now who's maybe a GM, but they gotta go sell that, right? They got all these ideas, they gotta go sell it upstream, and it can be challenging for them, so you're in a unique position to be able to, like, have the right size organization that's trying to adapt, you're using all these tools, and
Yeah.
you like it, and you can implement it, maybe against the will of a 30-year employee, but yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, and like the bigger companies, you just don't have that option. It is what it
not
is. You're using
always,
what you're
no, for
using.
sure, unless they
Before this,
truly empower you.
Yeah. Before this, I worked for a corporation. And there was things where they, $1 million software, and we end up doing it in Excel because it's not doing what we need to do. That's
Yeah,
how I got. That's how I got so good at Excel. Working for these corporations, you have this software that's
yes,
this high-end software, but yet I
yes,
have to extract data out of it and put it into Excel anyway. So
yes.
it's like this makes no sense.
You just nailed probably it's 80% of what we do, right? They spend all this money on software, it's just not giving them everything. Well, you said it early on, right? Like, it's
Yeah,
not no
it's
software is
never gonna
perfect.
fit.
What is that gap that it's not filling? And you have the, fortitude to go and make that happen.
Yes,
And
just
like
do it.
we go build that for people and stuff like that. As I wind things down here, what let me ask, stay in the deep end of the pool. What type of things keep you up at 2 a.m.? About your business and stuff. Is there anything that you're like
So
that would
construction. Safety.
Okay.
Safety's, it's become like a cliche thing to say in construction, right? Like safety is number one. That's like all you're gonna hear. But it's true. It's absolutely true, right? Like some people can die. Recently in New Jersey there was an incident I heard on the news not too I don't know much of the details, but somebody in a plant that we work in, or a plant that we have worked in. So it's dangerous. It's absolutely dangerous. I'll have guys working 100 feet in the air sometimes. So it's a
Yeah.
dangerous field. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's it's no joke,
Feel
and
responsible for them, and you can't be
yeah,
there to do anything about it other than just train them
yeah,
well, right?
for sure. And then the funny thing is the other side of that is a lot of the facilities we work in, of course, are all very safety conscious, as they should be, but they put very strong additional stress on the safety culture of, like if you don't have your safety glasses on, you're going to get thrown out of the facility. Like your whole company will get banned because one guy doesn't have safety glasses on.
Yeah.
So it's this expectation that all my employees are like robots and they are going to make sure that they do everything by the book to the code with no exception and they'll never make a mistake. And there's this perception like one guy makes a mistake and my whole company can get banned because one person made a mistake. So it's
Mm.
like this, you don't want to say unfair, but it is unfair. And
Yeah.
it's just like, I don't have people are going to make mistakes forever. It's just the reality. And that doesn't want to be, the industry doesn't want to accept that, like, which our goal is always no incidents, no issues. And of course, that is our goal. I don't want anybody getting hurt. I don't want any problems,
Yeah.
but humans have not figured out how to do that. And will they? I don't think so. I don't think perfect exists. So a lot of times, like, so what keeps me up? We are held sometimes to this standard that is impossible to be held to, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
It's no, this is the standard. You will do this. So unfortunately, like it just adds the stress to the crews, to the guys, and okay, you must be perfect. And it's like, well, how is that possible?
Right.
And so if
Right.
somebody makes a mistake, we're gonna throw, and for us, we're small. We could have one client that's more than half of our revenue. And it's like, oh, your guy was walking down the road without gloves on. You're gone. And it's like, wait, what?
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, that keeps me up, and it really bothers me. It's not fair, and life's not fair. But so yeah, that's a big one for me. And again, like why? Why?
Right.
Has is that going to change? Like so, and it's gotten worse and worse and worse. And you look at the statistics. Have the statistics like grossly improved? No.
Mm.
So I don't know why that is. But
Sure.
yeah, that
Sure.
keeps me up.
That's a tough one. That's for sure. And
Yeah.
then there's no
Yeah.
operational system that anybody's been able to figure out yet to fix that one for sure. But
No.
if you figure it out, and anybody would, it'd probably be you.
When I'm
From
in the
what I
hot seat a lot of times, like I'll tell the customer, like, listen, if I could figure this out, we wouldn't be sitting here because I would be a cajillionaire
yes.
because it's just a problem the reality, it's a problem that will never be solved.
Yeah.
Humans,
Unfortunately.
people will make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's the way it is.
Human
So,
nature. Yep.
yes, yeah. And as soon as you say that, it's like I'm the bad guy for saying that. But it's like I'm saying what everybody knows, but
Yeah.
you're not allowed to say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because zero tolerance is the standard, right? Yeah.
Exactly, 0 tolerance is the
Yeah.
standard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
a
it's
tough one.
crazy.
That is
It
tough.
is.
Well, I really appreciate your time today. This has been great. And you really did pull back the curtain for our listeners, I think. And, you shared from the heart, which is good. And I liked how you were just thoughtful about your answers. You just didn't say what came to your head. Said what came to your heart. And I appreciate that today. It's going to be a great episode. I know there's some nuggets in there for people. And yeah, I want to wish you the best in your endeavors and wish you luck there. And as you guys, lean into it, sounds like you got quite a few great years ahead of you. So thank you for being on the show today.
Sounds good. Thanks, David.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you.